In the business world, we are obsessed with frameworks. We love our neat little diagrams and our step-by-step processes. But what if the most important rules, well, they aren't written down anywhere? Today, we're going to look beyond all that and get to the heart of what really makes change happen in our organizations. So let's dive in. I love this quote from Bruce Lee. It just perfectly nails what we're talking about. We spend so much time learning all these complex rules, right? But real mastery, that's when you internalize a concept so deeply that all the complexity just falls away, and you're left with a simple, powerful truth. It's about coming full circle, back to the basics, but seeing them in a whole new light. And that's really the big question for today, isn't it? What happens when we stop staring at the diagrams and start focusing on the core principles? Well, for one, we start to see the world differently. And that journey begins by challenging our very first and maybe most common assumption. Okay, so this brings us to our first major topic, that classic and frankly outdated conflict, the supposed wall between the business and IT. Oh man, we've all been in a meeting where this story gets told, right? You've got the business teams, they're the fast-moving, nimble innovators with all the brilliant ideas. And then there's the IT department, the slow, bureaucratic bottleneck that's just holding everything up. It's a super convenient narrative, but is it actually true? Let's look at a real-world example here. A huge public cloud migration project completely stalled out. And it had nothing to do with the technology. The tech was ready to go. The real roadblocks? Things like vendor contract squabbles, operational partners who just saw the whole thing as a giant headache, and business teams who were, well, just plain reluctant to change how they did things. And this gets us to a really crucial point. If the technology is often more than ready to go, then what is the real barrier? What's the anchor that's holding organizations back from really transforming? Well, the answer isn't hiding in a server rack or in a piece of software. Nope. The real barrier is us. It's the people. This is it. This is the simple, fundamental truth we so often forget when we're drawing up our big strategic plans. The business isn't some abstract thing. It's not a logo on a building. At its core, business is just people. Human beings with all their hopes, motivations, and their fears. And this right here, this is what's really going on under the surface during any big change. People aren't immediately thinking about shareholder value. No way. They're asking themselves, am I going to lose my job? Do I have to learn a bunch of new complicated skills? Is that other team trying to take over my turf? These are the invisible forces, the fears, the ambitions, the politics that really set the pace of change, not the tech. So, if we accept that people are the key, how does that completely change the game for a traditionally rigid function like enterprise architecture or EA? The old school view of enterprise architecture is that you have this team of brilliant strategists sitting up in their ivory tower. They design the perfect future for the company, and then they just hand down these mandates for everyone else to follow. They're the governors, the rule makers. But you know what? In today's world, that model is completely broken. This is the crucial shift right here. We're moving from a classical view to a modern one. Just look at the changes. The main function shifts from governance and control to catalog and enable. The whole mindset changes from being a central authority to being a service provider. And its power? It no longer comes from a top-down order from the CIO. It comes from providing something no one else has, the bigger picture. But what does the bigger picture actually mean in practice? How does it create real, tangible value? Let's break it down with a clear example. Okay, so here's how it plays out in the real world. First, the EA team is just cataloging. They see a cloud team struggling over here and an automation team's pipelines failing over there. Two separate problems, right? Well, next they start digging and identify the real issue. Turns out, both teams are relying on the exact same underperforming vendor. Ding, ding, ding. By connecting those dots, EA suddenly enables a solution. They can use that shared relationship, that reusable component, to go solve both problems at the same time. That is the power of seeing the whole board. All right, let's tie all of this together. We started out by questioning that whole IT versus business myth and realized, wait, the real barrier is always the people. And then we saw how a function like enterprise architecture has to completely evolve to actually serve those people. And look, this isn't just some nice philosophy. In today's business world, it's absolutely essential for survival. Think about it. Companies are merging and acquiring each other at a breakneck pace. Integration timelines that used to take years are now crammed into just 3 to 6 months. In that kind of chaotic environment, a slow, top-down command and control model is a recipe for disaster. You need flexibility, you need enablement, you need to move fast. So, this is really the ultimate takeaway. The goal isn't to perfectly follow some rigid framework from a textbook. The real goal is to build a resilient, adaptable organization. And you don't do that by trying to control people with rules. You do it by empowering them, by giving them the bigger picture, and by supporting them so they can navigate this constant churn of change. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. Take a hard look at your own organization. Is it truly built to enable its people, or is it built to control them? Because honestly, the answer to that question might just determine your entire future.